Fans are holding their breath as rumors of treachery circulate since the atmosphere around the actors is so intense right now. A love triangle and covert partnerships degenerate into complete mayhem. According to those familiar with the matter, Ty is no longer remaining silent after the revelation of a dark secret concerning Evelyn. And everyone is talking about the manner she's pursuing her. You could cut it with a knife because of how thick the tension is. What began as a soft background murmur has exploded into a major drama. Millions of followers are now examining every look, post, and response in an effort to understand the truth. The fact that everyone is so split is even more bizarre. While some support Ty and call her brave for finally speaking out, others think Evelyn is the real victim in this whole situation. She was taken by surprise when the individuals she trusted betrayed her. Furthermore, their enigmatic remarks and scathing internet criticism have further intensified the problem, even though neither of them has yet to properly address it. Group conversations are overflowing, the streets are humming, and admirers everywhere are posing the same question. What happens now that this secret is public knowledge, and how did it remain hidden for so long? The strain didn't appear overnight. For months, it had been simmering subtly under the surface. There were subliminal clues that something wasn't quite right between Ty and Evelyn, according to cast members. However, nobody anticipated this kind of spiral. It all began when a source said that a male who was related to both ladies had been engaging in risky backstage behavior. Fans didn't give it much thought at first since it was just a murmur, a hazy blind item. However, when voicemails, screenshots, and late-night sightings started to surface, it was like adding fuel to a fire that had already been awaiting the fire. A dot. Everyone was taken aback when Ty, who is renowned for maintaining her composure and never displaying too much emotion, spoke out at a private cast event. The atmosphere was characterized as electric by one witness, as if everyone was aware that something significant was about to occur, but they were unaware of how horrible it would become. In front of everyone, Ty called out Evelyn while standing there with her phone in hand, trembling yet resolute. "Do you believe you can manipulate me? You don't think I'd know?" She was said to have keen eyes but a broken voice. Everyone realized then that this was more than a little miscommunication. This was intense, unvarnished, and intimate. In the middle of this mayhem is a guy. The unseen elephant in the room was someone the cast had been interacting with on a casual basis for months. He was more than a passing fancy. Insiders say about Ty, he was someone she trusted, someone she felt had her back at some of her most vulnerable times. And Evelyn, on the other hand, didn't exactly stay quiet either. She posted a series of quotes about loyalty and betrayal that only fueled the drama. It was humiliating to learn that the same person had been seeing her, even sharing intimate messages and organizing secret meetups. What was worse was how public the fallout became. What could have been handled? Quietly and private exploded on social media with cryptic posts and thinly veiled shade that made it impossible for fans not to speculate. The person who is concealing the most is the one who is yelling the loudest. With hashtags appearing overnight, some defending Ty's pain, and others claiming Evelyn was being unfairly dragged, the fan divide became evident as the single post sparked a frenzy among fans, leading to debates about who actually crossed the line first. Was Ty overreacting to something casual? Or was Evelyn purposefully crossing boundaries in a way she knew would hurt? Behind the scenes, the rest of the cast found themselves caught in the crossfire. During a private dinner intended to defuse the situation, according to one insider, voices were raised, tears were shed, and chairs were almost knocked over as accusations flew back and forth. Ty allegedly confronted Evelyn directly, demanding answers saying, "Just admit it," in a low but cutting voice. "Just say you knew what you were doing and didn't care." Others attempted to remain neutral, while others took sides, creating a tense atmosphere where every conversation felt like navigating a minefield. Those close to Evelyn maintained that she never set out to harm Ty on purpose, saying that things were far more convoluted than anybody had thought. "Yes, there were conversations," said one of Evelyn's friends. "It wasn't a close relationship, but there were times. And the man wasn't telling the truth to any of them." That answer, however, didn't make Ty feel any less hurt. She believed that trust had been betrayed in an irreparable manner, and the breach was more painful since it was someone she had let into her personal life. In an attempt to put together the time frame, fans have been eager to go further into the tale by looking through old postings, studying previous interviews, and even bringing up old images. What they discovered just makes things more chaotic. There were fleeting instances when Ty believed she had his undivided attention, and Evelyn and the unidentified guy were seen in the same places. One fan even brought out a scene from a previous episode in which Ty referenced a late-night phone conversation in passing as Evelyn grinned in the background, an emotion that now seemed to have a lot of depth. Conspiracy theories have been fueled by those videos, which have gone viral and made the issue unavoidable. As the days went by, what should have been a private tragedy became a public spectacle, with fans and the media analyzing every little exchange. Paparazzi have set up shop outside the regular locations of both ladies in the hopes of catching a sight of them for a response photo. According to insiders, Ty has remained solitary and has relied on a select group of pals who are aware of her depth, harmed. But Evelyn has been attempting to seem confident in public despite being clearly scared. However, both ladies are apparently dealing with the emotional impact behind closed doors. The response of the larger group of friends and coworkers adds still another level of intensity to the scenario. While some appear to be stoking the fires by posting ambiguous remarks online that allude to even more secrets that are just waiting to be revealed, others are subtly asking both ladies to take a step back and resolve things privately before they worsen. A recent live session had a particularly revealing moment when one of the two's mutual friends said something cryptic about knowing where the remains are buried. This sent fans into a frenzy as they speculated about what more may be hiding under the surface. One might feel the situation's emotional weight. Ty, who is often so calm and collected, has been repeatedly seen to be obviously unhappy. According to her pals, she was surprised and deceived in the worst manner. According to reports, Evelyn is incensed at the way the plot is twisted out of control and portrays her as the antagonist in a far more complex tale. It was aptly summed up by one close acquaintance. Here there are no winners. Everybody is in pain and trying to find someone to blame. But it's obvious that romance isn't the only aspect of this love triangle. It concerns loyalty, trust, and the delicate dynamics of a once close-knit community that has now been irreconcilably split. Their personal and professional lives are already feeling the effects of the repercussions, and those closest to the issue are cautioning that things may get worse before they get better. The drama only became more intense after the original confrontation's dust settled, raising the intensity to levels nobody had expected. What everyone believed to be a chaotic love triangle turned out to be far more complex, according to insiders. Ty had started assembling a chronology of events, and the more she discovered, the more she felt deceived. In addition to casual texts, she discovered late-night admissions and hushed vows between Evelyn and the guy she trusted. For Ty, they were not innocuous words of flirtation. They were evidence that for months her world had been whirling in deceit. Friendships are tight. She had reached her breaking point, according to Ty. They told how she sat in her living room, scrolling through receipts with her phone with one hand while shaking her head in shock. How could they harm me like this? Her voice was chilly and shaking as she murmured to one buddy. Anger soon replaced that feeling of betrayal. She also promised, according to others in attendance, that she would reveal everything herself if Evelyn refused to take responsibility. This was no longer simply about heartache. The goal was to take back control of a story that had portrayed her as the ignorant one in the background. Evelyn was not exactly sitting peacefully on the opposite side either. According to those close to her, she felt embarrassed and blindsided by Ty's outburst, and she insisted that things weren't as bad as everyone believed. She didn't take a guy from anybody. Evelyn had a buddy who stood up for her, and everyone knew it wasn't exclusive. However, the public didn't like such explanations, particularly as additional screenshots began to circulate online. One in particular had Evelyn delivering a voice message late at night that said, "You make me feel like nobody else ever has," which fans instantly connected to the guy in question. The video quickly went viral, adding to the story that Evelyn had intentionally crossed the line, went too far. In an attempt to defuse the situation, a cast dinner was held, and the public spectacle reached a fever pitch. Rather, it became a battleground of tears and accusations. Witnesses report that the evening began with tight-lipped welcomes and fake grins. However, the tension was evident as soon as Ty entered. Someone brought up the circulating voice memo halfway through the meal. That was the end of it. Glaring at Evelyn, Ty smashed her glass on the table. "Do you find this amusing? Do you really think you can get away with making me appear foolish?" Her voice echoed throughout the room as she snapped. "A dot. Never one to back down, Evelyn." Shot back. "You behave as if you were wed to him. You weren't. And maybe you would have seen what was really happening if you had been paying attention." No one anticipated the depth of those words. And before anybody could intervene, the two were flinging unfiltered, raw material in each other's faces, feelings in front of everyone in the group. The harm had already been done when producers intervened to separate them. The love triangle had escalated into a full-fledged conflict, and the ensemble was split. However, few anticipated how strongly supporters would take sides. With hashtags like Chouch Team Thai and I'd Defend trending at the same time, social media turned into a battlefield. Every little nuance and hint turned into ammo in the never-ending battle of viewpoints. Astute supporters analyzed previous footage, highlighting what they now saw as indications that Evelyn and the guy had been developing a relationship for a long time. The scandal surfaced. Fans are now citing a viral post that even brought up memories of Thai calling Evelyn sly in jest as evidence that Thai's intuition was correct all along. Those close to both ladies were concerned about the toll the story was taking behind closed doors as the internet craze continued. Thai's friends characterized her as reclusive, spending more time by herself and doubting who she could really trust. She's not only upset, one confidant expressed her grief. She thought this individual really cared for her. You don't simply get over the hurt of having him and someone she thought of as a friend betray you. Meanwhile, it was reported that Evelyn was having private breakdowns. The guy at the heart of the controversy attempted to speak out, but his evasive answer just made matters worse since he was overwhelmed by the ongoing assaults and the way her name was being destroyed in real time, adding another layer of strain. Fans weren't buying it when he described the scenario as a miscommunication and said that emotions were misinterpreted. Rather, his effort to minimize the harm was seen as cowardly. The two ladies took the brunt of the public outrage, while many accused him of attempting to evade responsibility. His comment was widely ridiculed by memes online, and his subsequent silence only served to heighten the intensity of the rumors about what he was concealing. The guy and Evelyn seemed to have been together during a period when he was also publicly associated with Thai, according to video provided by a close acquaintance from a night out. In the video, Evelyn was seen smiling and leaning in close as they seemed to be having a private talk in a couch nook. It was instantly nicknamed the moment that started it all by fans. And in a matter of hours, the video amassed millions of views as it went viral. That tape was the last straw for Thai, evidence in her view that she had been played in front of everyone for a fool. The gang was rocked by the aftermath from that released video. Discussions over whether the rising drama was endangering the cast's mental health allegedly caused tension at production meetings. However, there was no turning back for the ladies involved. It was too much. By cryptically writing that the truth always comes out, Thai began to allude to her own receipts. In contrast, Evelyn shared a bold selfie with the remark, "unbothered," an action that only made Thai's supporters even more. Those closest to the scenario couldn't help but see the emotional disintegration taking place in real time as the turmoil developed. Anger had given way to something more profound, a kind of sorrow for the broken connections and trust. Friends of both ladies attempted to mediate the situation by advising them to take a break from the cameras and give themselves some space to think, but neither seemed prepared to compromise. Everyone realized that the following steps would decide if this group could ever recover from the scandal, since there was no simple way out of the problem, which was twisted with so much pride, anguish, and betrayal. Right when the situation became even more out of hand, as if the storm couldn't get any worse. After that tumultuous supper, Thai had been quietly collecting her thoughts, but she reappeared with a plan that left everyone in a state of shock. Rather than retreat, she chose to face Evelyn Hayden, but not behind closed doors. Production sources claim that Thai insisted on having the cameras roll as she presented her version of events, arguing that the public should be able to see the reality as she saw it. According to insiders, she brought a folder containing voice notes, screenshots, and what she said were unquestionable documents of everything that had been happening behind her back to the following group photo session. The atmosphere in the room was taut and brittle as the actors assembled, like a match about to be struck. Everyone became quiet as soon as Thai entered, their gazes fixed on the heavy manila packet she was holding. She didn't take a seat. Rather, she started by standing at the head of the table and spoke in a low but piercing voice. She looked around the room and said, "You all think you know what happened." The first few images she released were damning enough late at night. But none of you have any idea what this woman has been doing, and tonight I'm showing you all. Flirty emoticons, texts, and hesitant apologies left little room for interpretation. However, the audio snippets were what surprised everyone in the room. One of them had a man's voice stating, "You're the only one who gets me." This was followed by Evelyn's quiet giggle and a hushed, "And you know I'll always be here." As the recording continued, Evelyn's cheeks became scarlet, her normally composed demeanor faltering. With a harsh, angry voice, she attempted to interrupt, but Ty cut her off right away. "Try not to refute it at all." Ty lost his temper. "You believed you could get away with playing me?" The altercation was unvarnished, passionate, and unadulterated. It was like attempting to stop a tidal wave as other cast members attempted to step in and tell the two ladies to calm down. Ty once threw the folder into the table, causing paper to fly everywhere as she said, "You humiliated me, and now you're going to feel what I felt." Evelyn, who was surrounded and trembling, reacted defensively, accusing Ty of fabricating the story. "You're not innocent, Ty," she screamed. "Don't pretend that you were unaware of what this was." Witnesses said that Ty's hands shook as she fought back tears as she said, "You just can't handle that he didn't choose you." With a broken voice, she said, "This was never about him choosing me. It was about respect. And you, of all people, should have known better." Her comments caused the room to become quiet, and everyone felt the impact of them. Even Evelyn seemed to falter for the first time since the affair. Her self-assured facades came off as she realized the truth. Social media went crazy as videos of the fight leaked online, even though the cameras were recording every second of it. Supporters were split, with some applauding Ty for advocating for herself, and others accusing her of bringing personal issues into the spotlight. Every shot of the video was examined and studied by online armchair detectives as hashtags like #Ty with the receipts and Evelyn exposed trended for days. It became a rallying cry for many who felt deceived in their own relationships when Ty's shaky voice went viral and she remarked, "I deserved better than this." But the consequences was considerably more messy behind the scenes. According to reports, Ty withdrew into her inner circle, attempting to think of her next course of action, while Evelyn allegedly refused to shoot for many days, claiming mental discomfort. The environment, according to mutual friends, was poisonous. Production meetings were tumultuous as everyone was on edge and uncertain of how to handle the strained relationships. Executives were arguing over whether to step in or let the drama unfold organically, knowing that the ratings were rising with each new development. Meanwhile, the guy at the heart of it all remained remarkably quiet. Fans and bloggers alike were searching for hints in his background as a result of his failure to openly address the matter, which only increased conjecture. Old acquaintances shared their own tales, presenting a picture of a man who often took sides and caused mayhem in his wake. To make the whole situation even more combustible, one unnamed source even said that he had promised Ty and Evelyn the identical things: the same future, the same commitment. The strain on all those involved became intolerable as the days stretched into weeks. After taking charge of the story, Ty, who had at first felt powerful, began to wonder whether the publicity had been worth the personal cost. She revealed to acquaintances in private that she felt hollow, as if the rage that had motivated her was now devouring her. "I wanted her to experience my pain." To one friend, she confessed, "But now I just feel tired." Tired. Evelyn, however, altered her approach. Rather of remaining silent, she made the decision to speak out again, sharing a slew of enigmatic but direct posts on social media. One article with a on social media. One article with a Fans were enraged by a picture of her seeming unconcerned with the remark, "The truth doesn't need defending," which some took to mean that she had proof of her own. There were rumors that Evelyn had her own collection of receipts, which may completely change the story. When reports circulated that the production was preparing a sit-down special to fully address the situation, the tension reached a breaking point. According to insiders, both ladies were apprehensive but realized that the confrontation was unavoidable, particularly because fan demand was at an all-time high. Their already delicate circles were rocked by the idea of sitting across from one another while cameras were rolling, and the whole world looked on. According to others familiar with the matter, Ty and Evelyn were both experiencing emotional difficulties, both facing a combination of embarrassment, rage, and regret. One acquaintance fretted out loud about the long-term harm to their mental health, while another compared the scenario to a slow-motion car catastrophe that no one can stop watching. Nevertheless, neither seemed prepared to completely leave the fight, where pride and suffering had grown indistinguishable, whatever the personal costs. Fans were adding gasoline to the flames while all of this was happening, asking for clarification and making crazy predictions about what would happen next. In the digital realm, every post, article, and subtle like or unfollow turned became major news. The whole world of reality TV was waiting to see who would flinch first and who would remain standing as the rumors of a love triangle turned into a full-fledged cultural phenomenon. Just when it seemed that the mayhem had peaked, the dust finally cleared. The situation took a turn for the worse. Evelyn ultimately violated her own unwritten rule of maintaining her composure after days of stillness. She spoke to her fans directly in an uncensored late-night live webcast. Her voice shook with a mixture of fatigue and rage. Although she didn't provide names, it was clear from her remarks who she was referring to. She stated, "People love to act like they're victims," with red and puffy eyes. However, they never disclose the true nature of what goes on behind the scenes. "I remained silent because I believed it was the mature thing to do, but I will no longer be a punching bag." The live had just ended when videos started to circulate on social media, causing a stir. While some fans applauded her for speaking up at last, while others accused her of using sympathy to change the subject, it was her cryptic post of a black envelope with the caption, "Receipts don't lie," that really set the fire. The internet went crazy, analyzing every single pixel of that picture, certain that she was about to reveal Ty in a manner that nobody had anticipated. By the time the following group, every cast member knew that something explosive was going to happen when the event rolled around, and Ty arrived first, her face unreadable but her posture tense like someone getting ready for battle. Evelyn arrived moments later, sharply dressed, her head held high, the infamous black envelope clutched in her hand, and cameras followed her every step, capturing the electric stillness that filled the room as she unexpectedly took her seat directly across from Tito. Evelyn pushed the envelope forward and slid it onto the table. Some cast members gasped aloud as she pulled out a series of glossy photographs, each one more damning than the last, audio clips that suggested Ty's own dubious actions, and even a video that, in her words, proved she wasn't the only one caught up in the so-called love triangle. "You think you've got the whole story," she said calmly, her voice low but cutting. "But you've only been hearing half of it. Perhaps it's time for everyone to see the truth." While others sat in startled silence, Ty leaned forward, her voice trembling with controlled rage, clearly scared but determined to retain her position. "You believe this clears you?" Evelyn shot back without hesitation. "You took it to the next level when you betrayed me," she added, her words purposeful. "This only proves that you were the only one winning in this mess." The confrontation quickly escalated, with voices rising, hands slamming against the table, and crew members intervening to prevent the situation from becoming physical. One castmate later called it the most intense moment we've ever filmed, a raw, unfiltered clash that blurred the line between reality and television. For viewers, it was an unmissable spectacle, but for those in the room, it was painfully real. No. Ty, you betrayed yourself. You let this man play you, and now you want to blame me because it's easier than facing that truth. The production had to stop filming for hours to allow everyone to calm down, but a man at the center of the controversy remained silent. A ghost in an endless story, and every time he would not comment, fans demanded answers and tabloids offered theories. Some insiders said he had completely fled town because he couldn't handle the backlash, while others suggested he was negotiating an exclusive interview to give his side. In any event, his absence only increased the tension, leaving both women to battle shadows behind closed doors rather than the person who initiated it all. Were growing. After initially refusing to back down from her decision to make the affair public, Ty started to feel the personal toll of having her suffering scrutinized by others. Her friends reported that she was hardly sleeping, consumed by the never-ending cycle of online chatter and self-doubt. One friend revealed that Ty had sobbed in a private conversation saying, "I don't even recognize myself anymore. I didn't want to be like this." Evelyn, however, embraced the pandemonium and used her position to steer her story with each post. Thoughtful remark, and she pretends that it doesn't bother her. But behind the scenes, the betrayal, the backlash, the pressure it's eating at her, the production team, sensing the magnitude of the storyline, started planning the inevitable sit-down special, a no-holds-barred event where both women would face each other uninterrupted with nowhere to hide. Negotiations were tense, with both sides setting strict boundaries, but in the end, the promise of closure and the huge ratings spike it promised made the carefully chosen word that kept her name trending. Both women prepared in their own ways as the special's filming approached. Ty surrounded herself with a close-knit group of friends, promising to remain composed no matter what was thrown at her, while Evelyn worked with her team to make sure she had every piece of evidence and every strategic soundbite ready to go. Once the special was leaked, fan anticipation reached a fever pitch, with hashtags predicting what would be revealed flooding, timelines, and everyone taking sides in what had turned into the year's biggest reality TV feud. The set was just two chairs, facing each other under harsh studio lights, with cameras ready to record every tear, every sharp word, and every loaded silence. As Ty and Evelyn took their seats, the tension was tangible, a physical thing that hung in the air. The atmosphere on the day of the taping was electric, heavy with anticipation and unresolved anger. What followed, according to those who witnessed it, was nothing short of explosive. A raw, unfiltered exchange that left everyone from the crew too. As the last words were said and the cameras rolled, it became evident that no amount of editing could soften what had just unfolded, the raw, unrelenting reality of a love triangle that had consumed everything in its path. And there you have it. The kind of drama that no one saw coming but that everyone can't stop talking about. From shocking leaks to heated confrontations and that unforgettable face-off, there were no winners, no clean resolutions. Just two women who had been broken and bruised by the same man, fighting to reclaim pieces of themselves in front of an audience that couldn't turn away. The real question now is, where does it go from here? Will Ty and Evelyn ever find a way to put the pieces back together? Or is this the point of no return? Or will the man at the center of it all finally break his silence? Or will the truth stay buried under layers of secrets and speculation? Triangle has officially rewritten the rules of reality TV chaos. We want to hear from you. Which side are you on in this messy situation? Did Evelyn have every right to fight back the way she did? Or did Ty have the right to expose everything? Tell us what you think actually happened behind the scenes in the comments section. And if you enjoy following every development as it happens, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Because we assure you, with this much drama still in the air, the next chapter will be even more exciting, is assured.